Welcome back. If you are still standing, it means your system has successfully integrated the Phase 1 infiltration protocols. In the last episode, we discussed walking in the shadows, gaining permissions, and decapitating the enemy's command. But those were merely tactical interventions. A true master doesn't settle for winning a battle. They seek something far more absolute, the total formatting of the opponent's existence. From this moment on, we enter non-linear offensive. We no longer attack the opponent. We attack the physical environment, the trust chains, and the logical foundations they depend on to survive. I will teach you how to turn an opponent's assets into their liabilities and their allies into their viruses. Privilege escalation to level 10 is complete. Are you ready to execute the final 18 harvest commands? The Eastern Algorithm Volume 2, Lockdown and Reboot, initiating now. Faced with a boiling system, don't waste energy suppressing the steam. Remove the energy source from the base. All-powerful computation and expansion require massive resources. I won't attack your front line. I will pull your power plug from the root. Without fire, the water cools. Without resources, your ambition is just dead code. Severing the target's connection to core databases, capital chains, or raw material supplies at the physical or logical layer. When input equals 0, output must converge to 0. Look at the global EV race. You don't defeat a competitor by building a better car. You do it by securing the lithium mines. If a competitor cannot secure raw materials for their batteries, the firewood, the billion-dollar factories, the pot become useless graveyards. Real world's you. Look at how Tesla and BYD Aggressive secured upstream supply chains early on. By controlling the energy source of the industry, they effectively removed the firewood from traditional legacy automakers who were too slow to secure their own battery supplies. Chaos is my preferred computing environment. When a system's signal-to-noise ratio, SNR, hits rock bottom and the defender cannot distinguish friend from foe, I enter this high entropy state to extract assets with zero resistance, artificially creating massive invalid data packets, collisions, forcing the network into a state of congestion. While the system is busy handling errors and packet loss, insert malicious instructions undetected. This is the ultimate disturbing the water. George Soros didn't just bet against the British pound. He used massive short positions to create a noise so loud that the Bank of England's defensive algorithms could not stabilize the currency. In the ensuing panic, the muddy water, the system's authentication of value failed. Soros then stepped in to catch the fish, walking away with over $1 billion in profit, while the entire UK financial system was in a state of entropy. I want you to watch me, but what you see is merely my cache. My actual entity has migrated to a new secure node, leaving behind a perfect shell to keep you occupied. By the time you lock your target, you are attacking obsolete data. Switching core tasks to a hidden background layer while maintaining a seemingly busy but meaningless virtual interface in the foreground to deceive monitoring programs. Consider Intel in the late 80s. They were the memory chip kings. But when the Japanese competitors flooded the market, Intel performed a golden shell maneuver. They kept the appearance of being a memory company to avoid alarming rivals, while secretly migrating 100% of their core R&D and soul into microprocessors. By the time the competition killed the memory chip market, Intel had already vanished into a new dimension, the PC era. Nokia conversely failed this protocol. They stayed inside their golden shell, feature phones, until the shell became their coffin. Chasing malicious code is a futile expenditure of cycles. I will open a deceptive access path, a backdoor that leads only into a specialized container. Once your payload is fully initialized, I will sever all external interfaces and lock down the I/O channels. Inside this isolated sandbox, you are no longer a threat. You are merely a collection of legacy data awaiting deallocation. Deploy a high-fidelity synthetic environment, honeypot, to lure the intruder. Once the attacker loads their core components, firewalls instantly terminate all egress ports, allowing for total reverse engineering or immediate erasure within a controlled environment. At Changping, General Baiqi did not engage in a direct collision. He executed a calculated retreat, leaving behind an enticing gap in his lines. When Zhao Kuo's primary forces, a massive burst of data packets, pushed deep into this valley, Baiqi triggered a physical link severance on both flanks. 400,000 soldiers were trapped in a dead loop with zero resources and zero output. Shutting the door ensures a 100% purge rate. Not a single byte survives. Why does Apple keep its interfaces, App Store, and processors proprietary? It is a commercial-grade shut the door to catch the thief. Once you enter the iOS ecosystem, your data, transactions, and habits are locked within their walled garden. When third-party platforms try to steal traffic, Apple simply updates its underlying API protocols, locking out external threats and ensuring that all profit cycles remain within the core processor. When managing a complex network, never spawn too many conflicting threads. I will artificially inflate the trust score of distant nodes, establishing temporary handshake protocols. This allows me to dedicate 100% of my compute power to overwriting and crushing the adjacent nodes. By the time the local cleanup is complete, my distant allies will find they have been reclassified as the next target. In resource-constrained environments, use virtual protocols to put distant threats in a pending status, avoiding multi-thread conflict. This ensures absolute computational dominance at the local tactical level. Qin's early expansion was erratic until Fanzhou introduced Befriend the Distant, Attack the Near. Attacking distant states while ignoring neighbors was a waste of bandwidth. Qin began protocol peering with distant states like Qi and Chu, promising non-interference. As the local firewalls of Zhao, Wei, and Han were dismantled one by one, Qin's system capacity expanded until it could swallow the distant nodes whole. The strategy: downscale global threats into local conflicts. Amazon initially befriended third-party sellers, providing platform and logistics support to expand its database. But once data mining identified high-margin nodes, Amazon launched a near attack, introducing Amazon Basics. By using its privileged access, it crushed the very sellers it once supported. They thought Amazon was a bridge. In reality, Amazon was using their data to complete a system-wide replacement. I do not need to attack you directly. I only need to borrow your access token. I will request temporary transit rights from an intermediate node, claiming I am merely passing through. But once my code is loaded into your kernel path, I will execute a privilege escalation in place. The request for transit is the decoy. The execution of root commands within your interior is the objective. gaining entry via a legitimate path and exploiting the trust-forwarding logic of the system. By hijacking the execution path during transit, the attack requires top-level administrative control. Jin sought to eliminate Guo, but the state of Yu lay between them. Duke Xian offered precious horses and jade to request a temporary path license. Yu, blinded by short-term gains, opened its system permissions. After Jin's army finished purging Guo, they executed a delete or command on Yu during the return trip. Yu's defense system never even initialized, as it still recognized the invaders as trusted third-party traffic. Why does Google pay billions to Apple annually to buy a transit pass as the default search engine on Safari? It looks like a traffic purchase, but it is actually a dependency injection of Google's data collection modules into the daily OS routines of iOS users. By borrowing the path, Google bypasses OS barriers to seize sovereignty over user search behavior, ultimately threatening the data security of the hardware manufacturer itself. I won't demolish your building. I will simply replace your steel beams with rotten timber when you aren't looking. Your system appears to be running, but its core has been refactored. The moment you execute a high-intensity operation, the entire architecture will collapse under its own weight. Maintaining the external encapsulation of data while modifying the internal execution instructions, the system executes the code assuming it is the original function while it is actually running the attacker's custom payload. During the critical phase of the Battle of Changping, the Qin Empire invested heavily in data injection. They spread rumors within the Zhao High Command to induce the King of Zhao to replace Lianpo, a robust hardened core component, with Zhao Kuo, a buggy trial version code. Audit data, Lianpo's defense algorithm had near zero energy waste and was impenetrable, whereas Zhao Kuo's algorithm was theoretical, riddled with logical vulnerabilities. Qin didn't defeat Lianpo, they used instruction substitution to force the Zhao system to uninstall its own strongest firewall. Why is the world wary of Intel's ME management engine? Because it is a hardware-level beams and timbers swap. Inside your CPU, another tiny operating system is running, possessing higher privileges than your main OS. You think you own the computer, but the core instruction set can be swapped by a third party at any time. True power is taking over the underlying logic without the host's knowledge. I don't need to attack you directly. I will destroy a system next to you, one that is stronger or equal to yours. Through this side-channel energy release, I will trigger a fear overflow in your alert system. When your logic is occupied by terror, you will automatically execute the concession code I desire, intentionally causing a specific node in a distributed system to fail in an extreme manner to induce self-protection mode restricted functionality in other nodes. When Cao Cao's horse accidentally trampled a wheat field, a crime he himself had declared punishable by death, he didn't commit suicide, he cut off his hair instead. This was a side-channel intimidation aimed at the entire army. The hair represented the head, a virtual pointer to a physical entity. This operation injected a hard constraint into the system. The execution of the law is indiscriminate. He wasn't playing with hair, he was hardening the system's global defense code. During the browser wars, Microsoft didn't just fight Netscape. By hard bundling the browser into the OS, they showed all software developers, if you do not follow my standard, your product will not run on Windows. This global intimidation of the ecosystem forced countless startups to abandon direct competition. They killed the chicken, Netscape, to program the monkeys, the industry, into submission. I will downclock my system frequency to the minimum, disguising myself as an idle process. I will lead you to believe I have crashed or fallen into logical chaos. Once your monitoring tools remove me from the threat registry, I will execute a final privilege escalation in the background. Attack code running at an extremely low speed, low and slow, to evade the frequency detection of traffic monitors masquerading as background noise or system entropy. Facing the surveillance of Kaoshuang, Sima Yi performed the ultimate feigned madness. He drooled and simulated data transmission errors. The scouts reported back, "System corrupted, no threat." Kaoshuang moved Sima Yi from the active threat list to the recycle bin. The moment Kaoshuang left the city, Sima Yi restored full clock speed and launched a coup. Sima Yi wasn't sick, he was accumulating cache for a single explosive execution. While Sony and Microsoft engaged in a performance arms race, 4K resolution teraflops, Nintendo acted like a clueless madman. They released low-performance consoles like the Wii and Switch. Competitors mocked them for being out of touch and lowered their guard. Consequently, Nintendo harvested the highest global profits in a blue ocean dimension where no one was looking. Their madness was a strategy to escape the redundant computation of a red ocean market. I will provide you with a high-yield growth path, enticing you to commit all your resources to an irreversible peak. Once you enter my predefined execution environment, I will delete all return protocols. With no path of retreat, you are forced to complete the final computation within the infinite loop I have designed. Entry into the system is low friction, but during internal execution, the return path is dynamically deleted. The process remains trapped in a high privilege zone but cannot transmit data back to its original source. General Han Xin deployed his army against the river, effectively deleting the retreat option, removing the ladder. The soldiers' sublayers perceived if retreat survival equals 0. To prevent total system failure, the underlying code triggered an overclocking state, unleashing 300% combat efficiency. Han Xin wasn't being cruel, he was optimizing system execution by deleting redundant logic paths. The Apple ecosystem is the ultimate lead upstairs and remove the ladder. They entice developers onto the high-margin roof of iOS. Once you've invested massive resources and adapted your architecture to their language and distribution, they modify the rules, remove the ladder, such as enforcing the 30% Apple tax. You want to get down? Impossible. Your user data and code infrastructure are now permanently bound to that roof. When my actual resources are insufficient, I utilize mirroring technology to hang fake blossoms on the branches. I will modify your scanning perception, leading you to believe my system possesses infinite bandwidth and redundancy. As long as your scanner returns invincible, my virtual signal achieves a real defensive effect, creating numerous fake identities, nodes within a network to lead an opponent to believe the network is massive and holds high consensus, forcing them to abandon the attack or make erroneous strategic judgments. Zhang Fei ordered 20 cavalrymen to drag tree branches behind their horses in the forest, creating massive dust clouds, noise rendering. Cao Cao's reconnaissance system captured high-intensity motion signals, concluding massive ambush in the rear. Through this virtual scaling of data, one man successfully halted the main process of 100,000 troops. Quantity of data often overrides quality in disrupting decision-making. At its peak, WeWork used aggressive office expansion and flamboyant PR, the Blossoms, to convince investors it wasn't a real estate company, but a physical world operating system. SoftBank scanners were deceived by this growth noise and injected billions. They used the visual effect of Blossoms to mask the fact that the underlying profit logic had already withered. I will enter your system as a mere service provider or a minor plugin. Initially, I consume minimal memory, but I will slowly infiltrate your data chains and harvest your admin token. One day you will wake up to find you have become my sub-process and I have taken over your root privileges. Exploiting a system's trust in an external plugin or library, the guest, to gradually gain access to the system kernel, the host. The CIMA family began as a high-level function, ministers within the waste state system. Through generations of data infiltration, they seized control of military, financial, and personnel permissions, token harvesting. By the time of Sima Yan, the original Chao Wei royalty had been fully sandboxed, holding zero real power. The system was still named Wei on the surface, but the underlying code had been completely rewritten to Jin. Microsoft's strategy towards new technologies like Java or Internet protocols is the definition of turning from guest to host. 1. Embrace, announce support for the technology. 2. Extend, add proprietary Windows-only features, making developers dependent on Microsoft's version. 3. Extinguish. Once the industry relies on Microsoft's version, the original standard becomes obsolete and Microsoft becomes the new host. I will inject a set of extremely attractive but non-essential data into your system. My goal is to force your administrator to dump all attention and computational power into this strategic zero, a high-priority UI. While you are seduced by these polished metrics, your core defense processes will suffer a resource starvation. The beauty is not the goal, hogging your CPU cycles is. Providing data packets that appear simple but require exponential computational resources to process, e.g. RDoS or zip bombs, forcing the opponent's server into a hang state or denial of service. King Fuchai of Wu's obsession with Xixi was not a romance, it was a payload injection by the state of UA. Xixi functioned as a high-frequency interference signal, saturating Fuchai's decision cache. Audit data. During this period, Wu's defense maintenance and intelligence updates were downgraded to the lowest priority. Xixi was the most potent virus ever developed by UA. She didn't kill soldiers, she simply kept the OS busy and inefficient until the system crashed. When a tech giant wants to stifle a rising rival, they often launch a prolonged, meaningless patent litigation or a fake acquisition negotiation. The startup's CEO, the processor, is dragged into endless meetings and due diligence, the honey trap. They believe they are marrying into wealth, but their R and D rhythm is being bled dry. If your focus is locked on beautified trivialities, you have already lost. When my defenses are at their weakest, almost an open port, I will intentionally drop all firewalls. I will expose a blatant vulnerability. Your scanners will tell you, this is too illogical, it must be a honeypot. I will exploit your own suspicion algorithm to make you execute the retreat command yourself, deliberately leaking an authentic but extreme vulnerability to make a sophisticated attacker suspect a trap, thereby buying time for system recovery or migration. Zhuge Liang opened the city gates and played his lute in plain sight. This was a masterclass in anti-reconnaissance obfuscation. Sima Yi's scanner returned. Zhuge Liang is lifelong cautious. Open gates imply a massive ambush. Sima Yi's decision tree entered an infinite loop at this node, eventually choosing the safest path in the withdrawal. Zhuge Liang won by reverse engineering Sima Yi's source code, his personality, and logic. During the Tesla Model 3 production hell in 2018, the company was near insolvency. Musk joked on Twitter about Tesla going bankrupt. Short sellers, seeing this total transparency and erratic behavior, suspected a trap or a hidden ace and hesitated to go all in. When you display absolute vulnerability, a sophisticated opponent fears a trap. I don't need to crack your password. I only need to make your administrators distrust each other. I will forge malicious logs appearing to originate from your inner circle. Once you begin to suspect your own encryption keys are compromised and start purging your loyal components, your system will disintegrate from within. Forging anomalous behavior data for a specific node, inducing the system to quarantine a healthy node, leading to cluster performance degradation or loss of critical functions. Zhou Yu intentionally let the spy Jiang Gan steal a forged letter of defection, data injection. Cao Cao received this leaked file and without deep verification deleted his strongest naval drivers, executing his top admirals Kai and Zhang. Cao Cao's naval system instantly lost its underlying optimization, becoming a pile of legacy junk code. This is a logic side channel attack. Company A fires a core engineer knowing Company B will headhunt them. This engineer brings over advanced technical paths that are actually logic bombs or dead-end R&D directions. Company B pours millions into this path only to fail. The most effective sabotage is making the opponent's key talent their own vulnerability injector. To deceive your intrusion detection system, IDS, I must perform a genuine kernel crash on myself. I will dismantle my core components and expose a bleeding vulnerability. Only when your scanners confirm my damage is real will your defensive guard be deactivated. This self-inflicted wound is the only passkey that grants me full access to your inner sanctum. Intentionally infecting one's own system with a moderate virus and publicly crying for help. When the opponent intervenes to repair or absorb the damaged system, a high-level backdoor hidden deep within the corrupted code migrates into the opponent's kernel. General Huang Gai and Zhou Yu orchestrated a public flogging. Huang Gai's physical data showed severe damage, a genuine negative signal. Cao Cao's intelligence scanners captured this data and concluded that the trust protocol between Huang Gai and Zhou Yu was severed. When Huang Gai's fireships approached, Cao Cao flagged them as friendly defector, bypassing all interception routines. Huang Gai's wound was a successful hardware-level spoofing attack. Large corporations sometimes admit to a massive failure, fire their top executives, or write down billions in assets, the self-injury. This self-mutilation makes regulators and competitors believe the entity is half dead, leading them to relax antitrust investigations. During this vacuum, the company completes its most radical internal restructuring. They trade a short-term balance sheet collapse for long-term regulatory immunity. The strongest defense lies in modularity. But I will entice you to link all your independent modules into one giant integrated system. I want you to pursue ultimate sync. Once every node is locked by my iron chains, I only need to ignite a single point, and the entire network will undergo a cascading failure from which none can escape. Inducing a target to highly couple isolated subsystems through a single API or shared memory. Attacking one node triggers an error signal that propagates along the coupling chain, leading to total system paralysis. Pang Tong advised Cao Cao to chain his warships together, citing improved user experience, preventing seasickness. This operation transformed isolated ship nodes into a highly coupled network. When Zhou Yu ignited the first ship, the fire, error signal, spread instantly across the entire cluster due to the lack of an air gap. Cao Cao failed by prioritizing system stability over fault isolation. When a tech giant locks your payments, social life, work and storage under a single super ID, that is the chain stratagem. While convenient, no seasickness. If this ID is banned or the underlying data is breached, your entire digital life collapses. Through chain protocols, giants strip you of your ability to switch systems, making you part of a sinking, interconnected fleet. When the computation shows the probability of victory trending towards zero and all algorithms fall into infinite loops, I do not choose to crash. I execute a force quit. To leave is not an escape, it is a high-priority system image preservation. As long as the core code and seed data survive, I can reload my empire on any new node in the universe. Before total system collapse, write the core state into non-volatile storage disk and sever all physical connections to achieve offline protection. Then the 36th stratagem is the underlying insurance for all algorithms. If stratagems 1 to 35 fail to resolve the bug, you must have an exit strategy. Liu Bei retreated most of his life, but each move was to protect his core team, his source code. Eventually, he rebooted in the Shu region. A true architect is never obsessed with a dying node. They are obsessed with the survival of the logic. Look at Steve Jobs when he was ousted from Apple. He didn't stay and fight a losing battle. He left with his core philosophy. He founded Next and Pixar, a period of background optimization. When Apple's system eventually failed, they had to beg him to return and reboot the company with his new OS, the prototype for Mac OS X. The ultimate winners are those ready to format their past to win the future. The 36 stratagems have never been about mere deception. They are about decoding the underlying logic of the world. In this hyper-digitized era, every individual is a string of code. Every organization is a system. You have a choice. Remain a passive terminal waiting to be scanned, or become the architect who defines the rules. The permissions have been granted. Will you execute a system reboot or continue to be formatted? Case closed. Subscribing sa Inject the Core Trust Chain. If you want to continue unlocking hardcore content on privilege escalation and dimensional market strikes, Click subscribe now. Inject this channel into your core trust chain and never miss a system update. 2. Comment. Leave your operation logs. Among the 36 stratagems, which one triggered a logic conflict in your mind, or which one have you executed in real life? Leave a comment below. I will personally perform a manual audit on your insights. 3. Share. Expand the propagation path. Share this video with those you know who are still stuck in a dead loop. Help them break their sandbox and refactor their life's algorithm.